Welcome to the NextUp Leaders Podcast. Today our guest is Miss Nevada Frye. She brought us some gifts and we're going to open them.
And Olivia.
And Olivia's here too. And this is our,
Yeah, we have extras.
these are our people.
Has anybody else brought you gifts?
No, nobody else has brought us gifts.
This is the first guest to bring us gifts.
This is
Mr.
a special
Nichols.
woman.
Mayor Pate, you could have
Mayor
brought some
Pate.
cheese.
Hey, Dr. Willingham, Coach Maynard.
Wow.
Well, he brought us his presents. That was his best gift.
He gets me chocolate milk every day.
That was his best gift. Okay. Y'all take out let's take out the same things at the same time.
Alright, what do we take out? We getting out
The seeds, the seeds,
They
the
might
seeds.
be just a little bit different, but y'all pretty much have the same thing. So those are perennial seeds. They're wildflowers. So like you can literally just like scatter them somewhere, and they'll just pop up.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Does it matter like where you plant them?
They'll take mostly sun. They can take a little bit of shade, but they'll do good really just about anywhere.
Cup. Alabama grown.
So
cup.
that was from one of my favorite vendors, Ripe's Nursery. I think they're in Plantersville, Alabama, but they sent me some swag, so I thought I would share it with y'all.
All right, let's get out these KF clean.
So those are like wipes. So like if y'all did like land judging or anything, they're like mosquito repellents. So like if you stuck them in your backpack, like they won't leak like a bottle of bug spray or
Take
anything.
these fishing.
But yeah, fishing. Like
Exactly.
I take them camping. Like it was just something I thought was pretty cool that they sold me on at market.
This is beautiful.
We got
Okay.
Be brave enough to suck at something new.
Mine says, how cool
Golf.
is it that the same
That's
God that
real.
created
That's really
oceans
Alabama
vibes.
grown.
and galaxies looked at the world and thought
Get you some.
it needed one of you too.
Fearless.
That's fine.
We got some stickers.
Minus today, I will not stress.
I got chapstick. This will come
This
in handy.
is
Oh yeah, you've
Green
got chapstick.
apple.
That's one of the tiniest little terracotta pots ever. That's real terracotta
I
though.
love that.
I got a pot.
I have one too.
Got pot.
We got a business card.
We got what?
Yeah, if y'all ever need me,
Wait, what
y'all can
is-
find me now.
Oh,
What is
yeah.
this?
It's just a
Shameless,
sucker.
shameless plug.
When-
Sucker, okay.
When I was a kid, you can still get them at like Cracker Barrel, but I mean they were like really cheap when we were kids. They were like I don't know, 10 cents or something. I don't know, like they were really cheap. But,
Mine
You
says
can get four
sealed,
for $1 now.
So I
Yeah.
guess I need to compare
Yeah.
it to a kiss from a rose
so I liked those when I was little, so I sell them.
on the
now.
gray.
We got some Gilliam
Shout out to
green
Gilliam.
apple.
I got regular
What do you
candy cane.
have?
which
What
is
do
I
you
got
have?
bubble gum.
He has
I got
bubble gum.
cinnamon.
That one's my favorite.
I love the
It looks
cinnamon one.
beautiful.
Yeah, I like the cinnamon ones.
Okay.
Me too.
Anything else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Miss
so
Ryan.
Yes,
much.
thank you.
And this is a very nice bag too.
It is a very nice bag.
This is what happens when you get an amazing guest on the podcast.
Where'd they go?
What did you do, Jack?
Welcome to the NextUp Leaders Podcast. Today our guest is Miss Nevada Frye and
Olivia.
guest co-host Olivia Sargent.
Great to be here.
Oh, you got sound effects.
We do have sound effects.
So how's your day going, ma'am?
It's going good. It's going good. I got up and it's warm and pretty outside, and I'm ready for it to stay that way. I'm tired of cold weather.
First day of spring is Thursday.
Is it? I
It
didn't
is.
even realize it. Yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
ready.
That's awesome.
Ready.
Yeah, it was cold yesterday.
Yes. Yeah. My son played ball Sunday in Haleville, and it was really cold and dreary all day.
You know, it's kind of interesting how like right after big storms, it gets like
Get
really
like a
pretty
cold
outside.
front that comes. Yeah.
And it gets like really pretty
It
outside.
does. Yeah. Like everything moves.
Yep.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about like your background. Like, where are you from? Like that.
So I've lived in Walker County my whole life. I went to Curry, and I live in Curry still. I'm married to my husband Chad, and we have 3 kids. Anna is my oldest. She's 21. She's getting married at the end of this year, so we're going through all the planning of that. And then I have Taylor. She's a senior at Curry. She's in the FFA, and she enjoys that. And then I have Charlie, my youngest, and he does travel ball, baseball on the weekend. So we run after him all the time. And we have our 2 businesses, and we work and we enjoy it.
So your two businesses, can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yes. So my husband is third generation in what he does. He does landscaping. And with landscaping, you get into some other things too. You get into, the horticulture side. We get into that for the growing and things for a lot of the products that we sell in the stores. And then he does a lot of hardscape also. So when you get into like the patios and retaining walls that you see, is that normal?
Yeah, that's our bill.
Okay. He does all that. He does commercial and residential work. Professional landscaping opened in 1990. And then about, it was in 2005, the garden center in Curry opened. So before that, it was just kind of like services, like at your house, like on site and stuff. And so they opened the garden center in 2005 in Curry. And then about 4 years ago, we went out on a limb and we opened a second store in Jasper, the Plantique. And it sounds kind of crazy because our stores are only roughly about 5 miles apart. But a lot of people that are in Jasper feel like it's out of the way just because they don't travel that way all the time,
Yeah.
If you're used to traveling that way, it's no big deal, Like I've lived in Curry my whole life and I drive to Jasper all the time. But we wanted something to, be able to make it a little more convenient for them and also to kind of take a different spin on it. We had kind of gotten to the point where I wanted to expand in some places with more bedding plants and stuff. And so it seemed like the right opportunity to try it. So we did. And I prayed really hard about it. I was really scared. I'm not a gambler. And that was probably the biggest gamble of my life. But it's been worth it.
Mm-hmm. Would you say like owning a business like that was something you always wanted to do?
No.
Really?
So did you just get like drug into it because your husband did it?
So I, when I was in high school, I thought that I wanted to be a nurse. And so after high school, I worked at one of the local nursing homes. And I just realized that wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I ended up going into business administration instead. And over the years, then I got married, and so I didn't work with my husband like he did. This was his career. He knew this was what he was going to do. I had gotten to a point where I was kind of ready for a change, and we saw an opportunity for me to cross over and kind of join him, and that was scary because. The old saying, you put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
So if you're married and you have your business and then all of a sudden, both of your paychecks are going to come from that place. That's just, that was really scary for me. And like I said, I'm not a gambler. So no, I did not always think that. But God opened a door for us and, it just kind of fell in place like that. And I feel like that was what was meant to be all along. I think there's a lot of pressure on you when you're 17, 18 years old, there's all these scholarships and where are you going to go to school and what are you going to do? And, and it's I don't really know, and so I thought I knew what I wanted to do. But, as I went through life, I kind of had to find, what I was doing. And it went exactly like it was supposed to. I know that now, but no, I didn't. And even once I crossed over, you have to be a little tough-skinned to be a business owner, and I wasn't just born that way. So it's a little different,
Mm-hmm.
So I still grow, I still learn every day for sure.
Yeah.
So what's the coolest plant that you've worked with or you've sold?
Oh, that's hard. I have a really soft spot for succulents. I really love succulents, and they've been a trending thing the last few years. I know y'all probably don't know what that is, but it's like cacti and stuff. Well, there's tons and tons of those.
They're the mini ones.
Yes, and they're so easy to propagate and grow, and I don't know, I really have a soft spot for that. I could probably come up with a lot of plants that y'all might would think was cooler, but That's my personal favorite. And I'm really partial to like fruit trees and stuff too. Blueberry shrubs. I love those.
So, like, do you have any tips for someone that wants to start their own business?
Yes, I would do. I would do a lot of research, and I would say that it needs to be something that you know without a doubt that you're obsessed with, and because you're gonna eat, drink, sleep, breathe it, you're gonna have to put in a lot of hard hours and sweat and tears and blood, and that's all true. I would say to do a lot of research. I would reach out to people, a lot of people that do something similar. Instead of looking at those people as competition, you need to collaborate with those people. And there's a lot of good people in the world, and I have found that in my industry for sure, when you reach out to them, they love to help you and they love to see you grow. So I would reach out to people and make that, their experiences and what their 2 cents are that they have to offer. I would make that part of it. And of course, you've got to financially, have a good financial plan, strategize, and stretch it out so that how much you're going to allot for each part of your business. And it's a growing plan. Like, you don't just jump out and become Walmart, you've got, there's a lot of years, to get there. So,
What's your favorite part about working with plants?
I think my favorite part, they're pretty and they're cool and there's an infinite amount of them. But honestly, my favorite part of it is I get to see people, they get really happy about plants. And it might be kind of hard for y'all to think that. That might sound kind of cheesy, but even when I was in reception waiting on him to come up, they were like, "Oh yeah, what do you do?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, I need some shrubs." And it makes people feel happy, and it's an outlet from a lot of everyday stress and stuff. That's something that people enjoy doing in their spare time. And so they come and I don't care if you don't buy a thing. Of course, I would like for you to come buy a thing, but even if you just come and walk through, I like that it makes people happy. That's my favorite thing. There's some kind of joy that's hard to explain in watching something that you've worked on produce, that pretty bloom or that fruit.
You see your work pay off.
You do. And people can say, "I don't know why you grow tomatoes. You can go buy them at the store for 50 cents or whatever, how much they are, or I don't know why you have chickens and eggs. You can buy those." I promise you, once you grow your tomato or you go and get those eggs out of the chicken coop, those are going to taste better. I promise you, they will. You're going to be like, "Yeah, I did that."
I bet it's cheaper to have your own chickens now with eggs.
Oh, yeah.
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 It is a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So how do you choose or decide what plants you sell and what plants you don't sell?
So we study a lot. So there's zones. So we have a map of our country, and there's zones, depending on the climate that we have and stuff. So one thing that we look at is, I don't want to sell you something that's just going to make you happy for today. That's what more of what a florist does. They do it, you'll get flowers that last for a week or so, 2 weeks, but my goal is to sell you something that will last you, as long as possible. Now given, annuals are for the season and stuff, but we study the zones, what will make it here. Some stuff is more prone to diseases than others. So some growers will slack off from some plants because of that, so we have to kind of, stay on top of that. But my biggest thing is I will even order something that I don't think will grow here if you want it, I can get it, but I try to give you the best educated opinion I can on it, but I really like to sell a variety of anything that will successfully grow here.
What do you think the hardest part of owning a landscaping business is?
For the landscaping side, the hardest part is we have seen a decline in people that want to physically work. And, it's kind of, I guess it would be considered like a trade kind of thing. But, with the proper equipment and stuff and that, and we do have that, you don't really have to, it is physical, don't get me wrong, but, those machines make it a lot easier. So I think there's a stigmatism that kind of goes with it. Like, yeah, you're going to work, but I think that's one of the biggest struggles really currently in the landscaping side is staffing that landscaping crew. And I hope that something pivots and changes with that. But that's one of the hardest things, honestly.
So I know a lot of people say this, but like when people come in and they're like, well, I'm not great at keeping things alive.
Oh, yeah, they say that all day.
What plant do you recommend them?
So I'll kind of question them and I'll ask them, I'm like, okay, so do you like to water your plants? Because some people, that's like their therapy. Like if you go to the gym or you go run or whatever, like they get up, they drink their coffee and they're going to go through and water their plants. Well, some people will like drown their plants. And that can kill them. Just like underwatering can kill them, overwatering can kill them too. So I kind of have to feel every person out. And so does my staff. Like, do you tend to water them a lot? Do you not tend to water them a lot? Like where are you thinking on putting it? Like does it get sun? I would say really, in my opinion, one of the easiest ones is a succulent. But a lot of people say that they can't keep that alive. But I really feel like that is one of the easiest ones. If I had to say this is a good starter plant, that's what I would pick.
So are there any like plants that people come in and they ask for a lot? Like, are you seeing trends with plants? Yeah.
And so one thing that's trending right now is houseplants. So people collect houseplants. It's like a whole thing. And, like there's like on TikTok and all this stuff, they see these rare varieties and stuff. And I have people that'll come in and they'll, ask me for, certain types. And like, if I don't have it, like we keep a book, and we'll like write down people's wish list, with their name and their phone number. And when I run across it, because eventually I will run across it. And so when I run across it, I'm like, hey, like, we've got some of these in. If you're interested, it's here. Right now, the trend right now is houseplants. People are collecting houseplants. That's a big trend right now.
So what are houseplants? Like what?
There's a lot of different kinds of them, and like you could probably sit them outside a little bit in the right weather on the right day, But like one of them, for example, is a snake plant is the common name for it. The botanical name's like Sansevieria, and then it has like this long other one, depending on which variety you get and stuff. But people really like that one. They can put it in like a darker room. It doesn't have to have a lot of care. You can water it, not, on a strict schedule, and it purifies the air. So people like to put them in the bedroom, and stuff. But there's an infinite list of them. There's a lot of them. Some get little blooms, but some don't. Most of them don't, so.
It's like, how do you stay motivated when running your business?
So that kind of goes back to if you were thinking about opening a business, it needs to be something that, you're truly passionate about. And along with that, you have to hold yourself accountable. Like you have to believe in what you're doing. And, you have to know, like, you have to have that self-initiative to, get up and do the things. And if it's something that you're truly, interested in and you truly love, like, it stays motivated. Now, you stay motivated. Don't get me wrong. Like, you're going to have days and you're going to be like, oh my God, why did I do this? But those days are really few and far between. And, like I said, I didn't just grow up and know this was what I was going to do. But, you change in life, kind of like your taste buds. Have y'all ever heard that? Your taste buds change in life. So, you kind of change in life too, and you learn and you grow. And, I didn't know when I was in high school that I would want to do this ever, but I learned that about myself, and I love what I do, and I enjoy it. And so that's really the biggest motivation for me.
So going off that, was there ever a time you thought that, especially with the store you just opened up, was there ever a time you thought that this is not going to work? We shouldn't have done this?
I was really scared. I mean, the property that we had in Curry, we had it for a long time. And so when we opened a store in Jasper, my husband used to drag me around, and we would look, at all these different properties in Jasper. And I was just there was always something. I was like, that's not the right one, something just didn't feel right. And so when the property on Airport Road became available where the Plantique is, it had formerly been a garden center and for years and years. And so I was like, okay, God, I see you. And, I was like, okay, and I was scared to death. And there were, you ask if there were times where I felt like it might not work. There was probably weeks where I felt like it might not work. Because, we were like, okay, we have this. And then okay, there's nothing here, and there's not a shelf to put anything on, and there's not a cash register, and, all that stuff costs a lot of money. And, so it was really scary for me. And I mean, I believed in it, but I had to keep telling myself, on the days where I had panic, I tried to stay so busy getting everything ready, I didn't have time to panic. But, on the days where I felt the panic, I had to tell myself that, I thought this through. I crunched all the numbers. My husband and I talked over it, him and, and his dad. His dad is part of our business too. And, we talked about it so much, and, I believed in it. You've got to believe in it. If you believe in it and have a good plan, you can execute it. And, but yeah, you're going to have hard days for sure. And we still have hard days ahead of me, I'm sure, Right. But yeah, there's been some scary times.
So do you have you had any disasters that's happened, or some funny stories?
So, we just had some bad weather that came through here, and hit some local areas. And, I hate that for them. That's just awful. My heart and prayers go out to them. But several years ago at our Curry store, I had not been there long, and we had a truck that pulled in, an 18-wheeler, and I had all these shrubs that I had ordered for spring, and I was all excited. And the sky gets real dark, and they said it would thunderstorm, but we're in Alabama, so we hear that a lot. You know. Okay, well, it hailed like I've never seen it hail in my life, and I have a picture. I could find it, but it covered the ground at the store, and we had to stop unloading the truck. We went inside with the truck driver, and once it stopped, there was just steam coming off the hail because it was warmer outside, and the hail was cold, so there was just this fog. It looked like a scene off of Stranger Things or something. It was just weird. And but the hail beat our greenhouses down. It beat the plastic in, and it literally beat the bark off of all my plants that I had. Yes. It literally, that was one. I mean, it's not a disaster on the level of some people's disasters, so I don't want to come off it was, as awful as what some people have had it. But for me, I was just I was really new into that, and I was we literally just lost everything by hail. I never even would have dreamed that, So that was pretty scary. But and it was my insurance agent when we went through it. I mean, I had to list every plant, and he couldn't even say them. He didn't even he was I don't even know what that is.
So there's insurance for that.
There is insurance for that. Yes.
So with y'all being a family business,
Yes.
and your whole family is surrounded around this business, how do you separate your work life and your business life from your family life?
it's hard. And so we all enjoy it. So that helps a lot. Everybody that is in it wanted to be there. So there's not like, any kind of feelings like, oh man, I don't want to do this, So that helps the morale a lot. There's peaks in the time where, like springtime, if I see my family, we're talking about work 24/7. Like my kids know that I'm probably, they're probably going to get like 1 or 2 home cooked meals a week, because they might eat a sandwich or something, to get by. So it is hard to separate it, but we do okay with it. I mean, we don't struggle with that really. Like we still have all of our normal functions and stuff. And I would say that's something, if you're going to think about going into business with a close friend or family member, like you really need to think about that, because it could really create, a big rift in your family. Right. But thankfully that has not been the issue. Like I said, we all want to be there, and we're all there, to be part of our community and to help and, to do things. So, I mean, thankfully in our situation, it's not been that hard. We may go to Christmas dinner and we may talk about what we got to do next week at work while we're sitting there, but like that's okay. Like that's what we do. Yeah.
So like, what's the ultimate dream for your business? Do you see like growing to anything bigger?
I do. We have talked about opening a 3rd location, and it is a little scary to me. It's not as scary as it was going from 1 to 2. Going from 2 to 3 is a little scary, but I'm not as intimidated by it as I was. So I feel like I do see that in the future. I feel like I see a 3rd location in the future. And I would like to see, this business has took care of a lot of staff and their families. It has put a lot of food on the table for a lot of people. And ultimately, I would like to see that, carry on as long as it can. If I had, the younger generations in our family that wanted to be a part of it, that's great, wonderful. But if they don't, then, don't worry about it.
Do you think they'll carry it on?
I think that my younger daughter, she does have an interest in it, and I do see her, giving that a try for a few years. And I think that if she gets in the groove with it, that she could excel with it, and she could have a great career with it. Yeah. She has the interest in it, and that's a big part of it. I don't know about my son yet, and we also have niece and nephew, so I'm not sure, they're too little to know if that's what they want to do, but I think it's possible, yeah. And, and even if it's not our younger generations, like it can still carry on, outside of that, because all of our staff really do. We don't tend to lose a whole lot of people and that come to work for us. So we kind of all like mesh together and become family. So
that's good though, because it keeps your business strong.
It does, yeah. Like they're there, and like something happened. I had a disc issue in my back last year, and man, my employees really stepped up to the plate because I was out of work for a while, very unexpectedly. So it wasn't like I had like planned ahead, but thankfully there were a lot of things put in place and systems in place that we were proactive with. And, for all of the, just in cases, the what ifs, and unfortunately that kind of came into play for a few months until I finally got that disc to go back. So.
But that lets you know that you did something right when you were hiring your employees and picking who you wanted to work for you, because they stepped up to the plate and they did what they needed to do when they needed to do it.
Yeah, and I was really proud of them. And so on the flip side, so now I've been back and I'm like, oh man, y'all are rocking and rolling. Like, what can I do? Y'all need me? But yeah, they're great. They're great. I love them.
So what's one thing you wish people knew about plant care that they usually don't understand? I feel like I say a lot. When you buy a plant, especially a shrub,
okay, if you get a shrub, and it's in a pot this big, it does not always stay that size.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, they'll buy a shrub and it's in a pot this big. And so they're going to come, and if this is their house, they're going to plant it right here. And they're like, oh, yeah, that looks great, Well, then in 5 years, that plant, that plant may grow to be 5 foot wide and 8 foot tall, you know. And so then, and they're like, oh, I hate that plant. That plant took over. Well, like azaleas, for example, like there are tons of varieties of azaleas. A lot of people are like, oh, no, I don't want those. Oh, no, they got too big. Yeah, they took over. They was leggy. They was ugly. Well, there's varieties that stay smaller, So, like, if you've got to really, like, know your area and what you're wanting to do. But the biggest thing I would say is read the tag. Read the tag because they grow.
Yeah.
So what information do you get from the tag? Like, what does it say on that?
They'll usually have like a picture. So sometimes if you buy, depending on what kind of plant or tree it is, it will be dormant. Like if you came and bought a blueberry bush right now, like they don't really have a lot on them. You're not going to see blueberries on them right now, So they'll usually have like a pretty colorful image on the front that shows it, what it looks like, or what the fruit looks like. And then on the back, it's going to talk about, how much sun and shade it needs. How deep to plant it, how tall it gets, how wide it gets. That really just the basics of how to care for that plant.
Mm-hmm. So if you could go back and ask your high school self or tell your high school self, like give your high school self advice, what would you tell her?
My gut response, like the first thing I wanted to say is, it's going to be okay. There's just a lot of pressure on kids that age. There's a lot of pressure on kids that age. And, I was stressed about all the things, and it was like, what am I going to do? How do I do this? How do I do that? And things are a little different now than when I was in school. Like we had dial-up internet, so we didn't have access to a whole, like it is today. But so my first response would be to that it's going to be okay, just to calm down. But if I could go back and tell myself to do something in high school, I wish I would have joined FFA. So, random fact, I never had FFA.
Was it just not implemented in your school?
It was there, but like
It was
I
never really offered, or you didn't have the class?
I just didn't have the class.
Yeah.
Like I guess, like some kids, they had it, if that's like considered an elective or something, like some kids had that, and they had like a couple of years of it. I never fell in that class to begin with. And so like, I never like knew to ask to do it. And like, there was stuff that I could have learned that would have put me ahead a little bit, like little stuff, reading a measuring tape.
It's a big one.
That's tough. Like there's a lot of adults that cannot read a measuring tape. And that's one thing my dad is like, if you can read a measuring tape,
You're going to be okay.
if you can back a trailer up, and you can do that. Yeah. There's things like that, like I would have really enjoyed, but I didn't really know I would have enjoyed it. So I wish I could have fell into that.
Yeah.
You got anything?
Nope.
I think that's all.
You just want to get out of here, don't you?
No.
It's his lunchtime.
So, we do this thing at the end of every episode. It's called the cheese quiz.
Okay.
So you got to name as many cheeses as you can in 30 seconds. So we'll get a timer.
Okay.
Our number one, I think he had 12, 8, something like that.
Do I have to pronounce them correctly?
No.
Okay.
As long as we know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Do you got it, Jack?
I think there's 8. Was it
Yeah,
8?
got it.
How many was it?
It was 9, and then our 2 and 3 both had 8.
Okay.
Okay.
So you need to beat 9.
Well,
You don't have to
No
close your eyes.
pressure. I'm trying to think. I think better sometimes like that. Okay.
all right, you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Go.
Feta, Gouda, American, Swiss, Parmesan, Pepper jack. Provolone. Oh, I'm so close. Is Monterey a cheese?
Mm-hmm. Monterey Jack Tom.
Man, 8.
Yeah, Monterey. Yeah, it counts.
I was waiting on cheddar, bro.
I was waiting on cheddar. No, you never said cheddar.
Mozzarella,
I was waiting on queso.
goat cheese.
Hoop cheese.
Oh,
Hoop
Oaxaca. That's what the cheese is at the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was called queso.
Goat cheese. That's
just
cheese
what they
in
do.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad will say. He'll be like, yeah, I want some of that queso cheese. And I'll be like, Dad, you're really just saying cheese.
Yeah, cheese. I want
It's like
cheese.
saying ATM machine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Teller machine.
Yeah.
All right,
Well.
we want to close it?
Do you have anything you want to ask us? Or any?
I think I kind of asked y'all before we were
Yeah.
recording.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Alrighty. Well, thank you. This has been the NextUp Leaders Podcast. Thank you to Olivia for sitting in. And thank you
Y'all did a great job.
for coming out.
Thank y'all
you.
for having me.
Alrighty.
Well, thanks for coming and for the gifts.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Yes, thank
You're
you for
welcome.
the
gifts.
Yeah, I upped the par.
It's our,
Yeah.
it's our favorite guest.
We have new standards.
Yeah. Hey, if you come on this podcast, you're now required.
Matt Mitchell and Eric Nix.
Unless you're Matt Mitchell and Eric Nix.
Please bring me a hat.
You are now required to give us gifts.
Or money.
Or money.
We take that too.
Hey, I mean, if you're really just feeling generous, you can give us
These
some
cameras
money,
ain't cheap.
but they're not. These microphones.
We had to sell special seeds.
All right, thank you for watching.
Thank you.